home. That's pretty frustrating, but fortunately for Eladimir, on the plus side, he could send all his drones back to this mineral patch here until the hatchery is rebuilt. But I think he's concentrating on his army. Let's take a look at Eladimir's camp. Yeah, so he's got a whole bunch of drones distance mining where, I mean, he should redirect them to these mineral patches here. Big battle coming up here. We got mutas and queens against corruptors and hydras. It's going okay, pretty even battle. Pushes back the hydras. Eladimir wants to retreat. And, you know, took out a significant dent in DanRyuKen's force, but Eladimir is left with not a whole lot here. And now we're starting to see, look at this, Eladimir is he's depleted of minerals, whereas Dan has 4,500 minerals in the bank. You know, there is a happy medium in there, but you know, you'd rather have all those drones mining and keep that up, because the unit advantage, the army advantage, is going to Dan right now. He's got 2 fully saturated bases. He's got a mined out base. I'm sure he's looking at expanding again to this gold here that he's clearing up. Lots of queens. And you know, the more queens you have, you can make use of transfusion and things like that. So a bunch of queens with max mana, they can really keep an army healed up, and then you're massing troops, like all these little altercations and things like that whittle down your troops a little bit. It gives you a big advantage when you can transfuse your mutas that would otherwise be at low health for the next battle. Then you can just have, you end up with a lot bigger army. Look at this. He's at 162 food over 119. And, oh, yeah, Eladimir decided to push in mass hydras this time. He can't push past these queens, which are, like, queens are a significant meat shield. They can take quite a bit of damage. 175 health. And they really absorb a lot of the Hydra's missiles that would really tear apart the Mutalisks. Dan could be transfusing these mutas a little bit better. Lots of energy on all these queens. Oh, there goes a transfusion right there. You know, this is a good time for him to transfuse all these low health mutas. Eladimir still kind of low on minerals. His larvae production, not well. He's got enough larvae for the minerals that he's got, but he should have more queens. He should have more drones. You know, he should be able to have extractors here and be mining with 6 drones, but because his drone production is so low, he's got 39. He's kind of got to pick what he wants, and because he's low on minerals, he's focusing all of his drones on mining from this gold. Whereas, you know, if he had 50 drones or something like that, there'd be no question he would have been mining those extractors a long time ago. And Dan has forgotten to put drones on his extractors here at the gold, but he must have just got up there, and I'm sure it's on his list of things to do. So now we've got just a few hydras coming in, and compared to the size of Dan's army here, these hydras are not going to be enough. And yeah, they get pushed back. Now the one thing is, Eladimir here, his hydras are off creep, and these queens are on creep. Dan really cannot engage anything off creep. So because of that, if you are Zerg, this is one of those situations where receding the creep would significantly damage Dan's army. So a few more overseers and targeting those creep tumors and things like that could really give you the advantage in mobility. And I know that's a strange thing to say because Hydras are so slow off creep, but when you're going up against somebody who's going mass queens, their mobility is completely reliant on creep. And look at this, like there's creep tumors all over Eladimir's base and things like that, which, I mean, I get to connect your base, you want to have those creep tumors, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're pushing forward and attacking, this is the biggest defensive units that Dan has, is these creep tumors. And we got the Hydras moving in again, a couple of corruptors, but you know, you can just feel how much Dan is pulling ahead in the army size. Look at the massive mutalisks. They are not going to be afraid of anything right now, aside from if there was Thors here, they could tear that apart. But you know, it's a Zerg versus Zerg, and you don't have any splash damage as a Zerg for air units, so Dan is keeping up the creep. And you know, at this point, Eladimir, his army size is nothing, so Dan should really push in, but he's not. I think, I don't know, Dan must be having fun just practicing his macro here, because he's got, you know, full expansions. He's mined out of this first expansion, I should say. Really could put down a hatch right there. Look at this massive queens. That is 14 queens and a whole pile of mutalisks. Well, I can't even count that high. So this is almost a 200 food army, 192 out of 192, and the drone advantage is 66 to 36. Eladimir has a new base here. As soon as this was up, you know, you shouldn't have to be building drones. You should have 60 drones already by this point in the game that you're just sending from one expansion to the next. So I would say that Eladimir, his loss in this game is caused by two things. One of which is not having the drone production to keep up with Dan. Dan has done a really good job of macro, and his drone production is just insane. Like 66 drones at this point is working really well for him. And secondly, not managing the creep. He needed to identify that these queens are only good on creep. He should have sacrificed his own mobility in order to severely hinder Dan from moving out around the map. So if he could have just had an overlord or an overseer floating around and a couple of mutas, you can really take out a lot of these creep tumors. And as far as keeping the creep preceded, it would work for penning Dan up into his own, you know, hatchery areas, and wouldn't give him the mobility to come around and defend from one side to another. But even so, just out of the pure muta advantage that Dan got from having such a good economy, I mean, look at this: 11,000 minerals, 2,000 gas, and he had a 200 food army building up the whole time. Eladimir he needed so many more drones, and he needed to identify about this map control issue. So that's it for me. Thank you for listening, everybody. This is OgreStarcraft.